What's up, everybody? Hello and welcome to episode number 279 of the VK Bros with a freshly scorched Jason and Alex Von Cannell from a bit of street ball we played on last Sunday. Alex and I went full gangster, got in the D streets, played some street ball, but because we're actually white boys from the suburbs, we're only out for about an hour and a half and got absolutely roasted. How's your sunburn going, Al?
I've got no shoulder skin anymore. It's all fallen off today.
Nice.
I thought I got away with it because I was like, I've been moisturising like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, yes, sweet, I'm fine. Woke up this morning and massive. I feel like Gold member from Austin Powers. I've just got skin falling off. Like I can hear it in my shirt.
Are you keeping it in a little box for later?
Yeah, totally. Well, no, I don't because I don't want to get cloned.
No, yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point.
Shout out to cardiovascular exercise,
Mm-hmm.
because after Jason and I were sort of doing some shooting around, and I haven't played for, I don't know, maybe 6 years or something. It was a very long time since I played basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, let's do like a little one-on-one. And I forgot how cardio intense one-on-one basketball is.
Yeah.
And I think, do we make it to 6 points?
Yeah, I think it was like
until I needed a break.
6-4 or something like that. And yeah, I knew.
My cardio was on the red line.
Oh yeah, you were pinging off the rev limiter. I knew that for me, like, because to give you credit, the stuff you've been doing at the gym made you physically far more solid than you've ever been. So at the beginning, when you're still fresh, I did have some difficulty scoring on you. It wasn't going too hard. I wasn't trying to break your ankles or anything like that. But I did have more difficulty than I probably should have. But I knew it was going to become a war of attrition. And all I had to do was hang around that little bit longer.
I attrished.
And the wheels were falling off. Yeah.
So I just
good though.
Like, and I do like some conditioning training. I don't love it, but I do some, like, I've done 40-minute cardio sessions every Saturday. And it was nothing compared to...
It's so different. It's so different.
So different.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I'll do it again, but maybe we can find a shadier spot.
But maybe in a burqa.
yeah. Pauline, if you've got one that I can borrow. It was a lot of fun. I do like it. I like it a lot. I want to do a quick shout out. So, as you're listening to this, the new Formula One World Drivers' Champion would have been crowned.
Mm-hmm.
Probably as we're speaking. I'm going to put my predictions out now. So it's extremely close. It's been a great season. There's basically 3 drivers that can win it. Lando Norris is leading the championship.
Yep.
Max Verstappen is second, and Australia's own Oscar Piastri is third.
Right.
And there's basically some scenarios of where one person needs to be. Essentially, for Oscar, our boy Oscar, to win, he needs to win this last race, and essentially knock out the other 2 guys.
Right.
That's basically what needs to happen, because it's very unlikely that a Max Verstappen or a Lando Norris, if they have not crashed out, will finish outside the top 3.
So it's time for Oscar to pay off some other shittier drivers to drive a little recklessly around those 2.
Well, a lot of people are asking Yuki Tsunoda, who's Max Verstappen's teammate, who's absolutely nowhere and hasn't been signed for next year, to essentially be a kamikaze pilot for him. There's lots of that kind of talk. But I want to put my prediction now just to see how it stands.
Mm.
Unfortunately, I don't think Oscar gets it.
Yeah.
And I don't think Lando gets it. I think Max Verstappen wins his 5th championship.
Mm-hmm.
Only because, and I've just been watching, just as I walked in here, I've been watching the press conference before. Mentally, Max has this in the bag.
Right.
He's done it 4 times before.
He's been there before. He's got the experience. He's
and they're
cool,
asking,
calm, and collected.
Are you feeling the pressure of this? He's like, no, just like it's a normal thing. Just we've done all the preparation. We've just got to come here on the day.
Yep.
And they asked Lando, and Lando's like,
Yeah.
And I already think Oscar's had a talking to by the team. I think, unless Oscar is leading the race, I think they're going to ask Oscar to support Lando to win because they're teammates.
Right.
Which no one will like because there's all this history.
Yep.
That I won't go into. But Max... if Max wins this championship, it's one of his best ever.
Right.
Because the car is the 4th best car on the grid.
Oh wow! Okay.
That he's driving the absolute wheels off. Early on in the championship, he was out. No one thought that he could do it, but he's been consistently good. The team last week, they won the race purely on strategy.
Okay.
And essentially McLaren lost the race for themselves.
Right.
But Max is also enjoying himself because of the challenge.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like, there was a period where we thought Max was going to quit when he was dominating. When he was just winning every race, poling every race, grand slamming every weekend.
He was just bored?
He was bored.
Yeah.
He was bored. But now he's having to fight for it, and he's actually got a smile on his face now.
Yeah, interesting.
And I think he's going to love the race, Saudi Arabia's last race, so it's because I think he gets it, and I think if he does get it, it does absolutely put him in tension to be one of the greatest of all time. He's driving the absolute wheels off that Red Bull.
Yeah, that's sick.
So,
like, I got to say, I fell off watching Formula One years and years and years ago, because as a sports fan, I don't like the fact that essentially most years there's one manufacturer who's just got the best car and then they're going to win. And it's just a decision maker of who's the primary driver in that team. They're going to win the championship. But I heard on a different podcast like a few days ago that it was actually, there's 3 guys that could potentially win this. And it really surprised me because I was like, I haven't seen it like that in, I don't know how long.
The last time, 2009 was the last time that there was a 4-way running for the championship.
Yep.
And that was great. This is a 3-time, but where this one's different is Max has just come out of nowhere.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And
well, like you said, 4th best car, right?
4th best car, 2nd in the championship. His teammate Yuki Tsunoda is like, I think he might just be in the top 10.
Yeah, right. Was it Valentino Rossi that just for a challenge got off the best bike and went to a shit team like
he
years
did it
ago?
year after year after year.
Yeah. So some people still do it for the love of the game.
Totally. So, congratulations to Max Verstappen, 5th time World Drivers' Champion. You heard it here last.
And we'll edit this out if you're wrong.
Yeah. Okay, we'll do a thing. Congratulations to...
Yeah. All right, I'm going to... Sorry, go ahead.
Let me talk.
Cool.
I've been thinking a lot this week, and I know we mentioned it last week, and I think we propped her video, The New Age of Kings, my thoughts about not having a democracy anymore, how democracy is failing us.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm a single guy and a loser, I sit at home at night watching Senate estimates hearings.
I do the same thing.
And when I was watching it, I got infuriated, not by the content of what's been spoken about, but the concept itself of our parliamentary system.
Yep. So
I want to start this off real quick. I want to draw on, what's her name before I get it wrong? Her name is Lena, S-E-I-C-H-E. She's German. How would you say that?
S-E-I-C-H-E. Seicher?
Seicher. Okay. This was the first video that she put out. It's a banger. Mm-hmm. Very well crafted. And there's one particular aspect of it I just want to show, just to help set up the narrative going forward. Okay, so let me pull this up.
Let's go.
A bit loud.
I'm from Germany. And for most of us in the West, anything other than what we have today is basically unthinkable. So especially if you grew up in the West, you probably grew up in a liberal democracy, and you probably grew up considering that liberal democracy is sort of the be-all and end-all of ethical governance. But the Greek historian Polybius believed that democracy was only one step in a cycle, and that all governments naturally cycle through 6 stages. It starts with monarchy, which is the virtuous rule of one. Then comes tyranny, the devolution into or handover to a corrupt monarch. Then aristocracy, the takeover by a virtuous elite that governs wisely. Then oligarchy, which is the descent into a selfish rule by and for the rich. Then democracy, which is popular rule following the overthrow of the rich. Then ochlocracy, or mob rule, which is the degeneration into disorder through a rule of passion rather than reason. And then we return to monarchy through the emergence of a strong leader who restores order.
So I just want to go back real quick.
So we are at ochlocracy.
Yeah. Totally. Okay, so we're just bought. We're here. We're currently in the democratic period, but we are looking and sniffing at the edges of mob rule.
Well, can we? But I don't think we are. I don't think we are in democracy anymore. And this is like the comment that you made last week about, how things are actually working. And when you think about it, think about where we're at. We're at the level where there are protests every single week. And it's of a whole range of different groups, particularly Victoria, the protest capital of the world. Every week there are conflicting protests. There's March for Australia, there's marches for Palestine, there's marches for, against anti-Semitism. We are getting further and further towards that mob rule thing, and the reality is, and we'll probably get into more of this, I'm assuming, because you are driving the bus this show, the democracy is no longer functional.
Yeah, okay, so I'll give her a couple more minutes.
Yeah.
Give her a couple more minutes, then we'll come back to it.
And then we return to monarchy through the emergence of a strong leader who restores order. This theory is called cyclosis, and it basically says that every form of governance contains within it the seed of its own corruption, which would mean that every democracy has an expiration date. The late Roman Republic is an example of what happens when that date is reached. So Rome was struggling with street gangs and with class warfare and with paralyzed institutions until Caesar...
Sound familiar?
Yeah, a little bit.
Came in, and Caesar restored order through autocratic rule. Or to go back to a more recent example, Singapore also had civil instability, had race riots, had weak institutions, and then Lee Kuan Yew came to power, and he centralized authority, he embraced meritocracy, and then he brought order. So the desire for a king is actually stronger in unstable societies. And that makes some sense, because in a functional democracy we want for nothing. It's only when things stop working that we start looking around. And that brings us to the state of the modern West.
What are your thoughts so far? Can you see it?
Can I, this is something that I think people can understand and freely see in their own lives when something goes wrong. Because, our societies are so safe, they're so vanilla, especially in Australia, we're the nanny state, right? We've got so many guardrails on absolutely everything that I think when you see when something goes wrong, let's say a big weather event, when something goes wrong, as human beings, it clearly emerges that there are certain personality styles, and one of the most rare personality styles are the people who are willing to take responsibility during those shit times, to make the hard calls, to do what needs to be done to create the best good and the least suffering for the most people during those times. And you'll see that 80% of the population, when the shit goes down, they're looking for that person to tell them what to do.
But I think that's a byproduct of a system built of guardrails.
Quite possibly, yeah.
So what I mean by that is, if there is, and we have great systems here, we have lots of great systems and great infrastructure that is built to handle those things.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with that is, if they fail, we no longer have the ability to sort that out ourselves, because we expect it to be done. And in our case, we are paying handsomely, in the form of taxation, to have these systems work functionally for us.
Yeah, so it's a forgotten skill set, because we've just grown up in a world where you've never even had to employ it.
Totally. I'll give you an example of where it works really well. I think I mentioned on this show, when we had this big storm that came through here, I lost power, and I went for a walk, and there were some trees down, and some people had already gotten outside and started cutting some of the trees down, clearing the roads, getting access, and then 40 minutes later, there's already electric, the power line crews that are on site already. That is amazing. That is a testament to how advanced our systems are. And those are the things that are really, really good.
Yep.
But when your entire society is only built on guardrails, and if you think about Australia in particular, there's nothing that isn't guardrailed.
Yeah. And
sorry,
it's getting
for one
worse,
example,
exponentially worse every day.
I'll tell you the thing that isn't guardrailed, and it's an economics example I always bring up, TVs. I had to go to JB Hi-Fi yesterday because I think I had a power surge that came through my place.
Right.
And something popped. And I think it was actually my Google, the dongle for my Google TV.
Yep.
And so I couldn't get it working. There was, on special, you can buy a 65-inch LED TV for $650.
Yeah, it's
like, that is outrageous. To paint a picture, I had this massive rear projection TV that I inherited out of a house that I was living in. You remember the TV?
Oh, I remember getting rid of that TV.
Right. So this thing was a rear projection, which means it weighed 1 metric ton. It was probably 0.5 meter deep.
Mm-hmm.
It was massive.
Yeah.
I don't know. It would probably be 85 centimeter TV. It was on its own stand.
85 centimeter.
Sorry, 85 inch.
Yeah.
85 inch.
Yeah. It was huge.
That TV, brand new, when it came out in like 2003 or something like that, was 25 grand.
Yeah.
Now you can go buy that size TV that you could hang on your wall, and it will probably cost you 2.5 grand.
Yep.
Right? So that's, and the reason is there's no regulations around TV. No governments are buying people TVs or subsidizing TVs.
That's right.
Or adding safety protocols around TV. There's no, you don't need to pay a guy to install it.
Yep.
It's a very open and free system.
Yep.
That enables the free market to do what it always does, which is innovate, and through innovation comes scale and abundance.
Yep.
All right? Where we're at now, with literally every other aspect of Australian life, and is about to be the internet. Like think about the internet's is the most abundant thing that we have access to. All the world's information is in our pocket up until 5 days from now.
Yeah, can we also just make that point? If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to us. Probably both on like Rumble, but also on a podcast app of your choice as well, because there's a chance that we'll not be seen anymore after that.
Quick side note. My friend of mine, who is more of a normie, but he's starting to see the light, he sent me this video of this guy talking about all the measures that you should have in place. Use Brave browser. Use Perplexity, not ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
Use Telegram. And then everything he'd listed. Oh, Rumble. I'm like, dude, we've been on this for years. And he's like, oh, you'll have to show me how. But he's an Apple user. Apple users don't even think like that.
Right.
Like most Apple users, like because you're an Apple user, what do you use Brave on your phone?
I've got Brave on my phone, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Very few Apple users even know that there's other web services available.
But Safari sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. So, anyway, we're about to get the most abundant thing, which is information.
Yep.
Throttled
heavily
through government policy.
Yep.
Okay. And the message that I think Lena is trying to put through here is this happens because we let it happen.
Yeah.
This happens when we let our politicians get buck wild and drunk on power.
Yep.
Which is why the next inevitable stage is mob rule.
Yeah. Because it's just physics.
You made the example of the protests. 100%. That is an absolute raw example of the mob trying to take hold. And look, arguably some of the mob stuff has worked.
Yeah.
Some of the policy has changed. My point that I want to start normalizing this conversation, which is the whole parliamentary system, is the reason why we're failing.
Yeah.
Now, the example I want to show now, I'm going to play this clip. This is a day old. I haven't watched it. I don't even know what they're going to say, but my point will still stand up. So Let me just play this clip.
Okay, thank you. So I want to ask you about the round one tender.
Can you just pause it? Just for audio listeners, this is a Senate Economics Legislation Committee meeting. All right, continue.
When you awarded the tender, so this was a judgment by the board, wasn't it? The board decided which organisations would get funding?
Yes.
Okay. You are on the board, aren't you, Mr. Langford?
No, Senator, I'm
You
not a
report
board
to the
member.
board, but you would have been a part of that deliberation, I imagine, as CEO.
For round one, I was not employed by Housing Australia, Senator.
Okay, but you would be for future rounds?
Yes, Senator.
Okay. So when the HAF allocates funds to housing projects, does it allocate on the basis that it is fully funding a project, or is it providing a proportion?
So, Senator, the HAF has two funding mechanisms that we can use to support.
Board yet?
A little bit.
Okay, let's stop it there. What do you think I'm going to say next?
That this is all a gigantic waste of time, and why do we have to play cat and mouse games with bureaucrats just to get honest answers?
That is the entire function of politics.
Yeah.
And I wonder if you might be able to help me with this. There's probably a sporting analogy where the rules get corrupted and the whole sport gets broken because people exploit loopholes and systems.
Look, I think Formula One's probably the best example of that, right? Like in the like how the teams bend the rules for when it comes to different advancements they use on the car.
I would say more something like Tour de France.
Right.
Tour de France, because the Formula Ones aren't cheating. There is a technical race within that.
There's a lot of cheating that gets done too, though.
It's actually much less than you think. It's interpretation of the rules.
Right.
Whereas we know that you're not allowed to inject yourself with shit and get on a bike.
Yeah.
And everyone does.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, basically the way I see politics today is, the parliamentary system was probably a brilliant way to make decisions in a considered way when it was created however many hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
1,000 years ago, whenever this is the British system. Okay?
Yep.
However, with every single it's progressed so much now that there's so many legal actions, there's so many people that are paying consultants to find ways through systems.
Yep.
That we've lost the we're not playing in the spirit that it was intended.
Right.
And therefore, you're never going to fix it by getting a new party, a new prime minister, because every aspect of that. So if we said a bowl, if you imagine a bowl is, and everything that goes in the bowl is our political system, and everything that's contained within that bowl is the definition of success of our system.
Yep.
We've currently got a colander.
Yeah.
Where there are holes throughout every aspect of the system that people are using for their own benefit.
Yep.
The incentive structure is incorrect in that we know they're not looking out for us. This under-16s ban's got nothing to... We all know it's got nothing to do with protecting kids and everything to do with control of the internet. We know the money's broken. We know that they spend the money like it's going out of fashion. They know that they can give you free stuff and get votes. Therefore, the incentive has become, how do we give you more free shit?
Yep.
Even though it costs everyone forever, right? So the solution can't be get a new puppet at the top of the colander.
Yep.
I want to normalise the idea and potentially generate a movement where, because we're coming into the Christmas season, you've got to start talking politics, right?
Yep. Yeah, of course.
And converting people to Bitcoin. Okay, those are your two objectives. I don't want the conversation to be about Liberal, Labor, One Nation, whatever. I think the conversation really needs to be something constructive, which is we need to dismantle the whole system because it's no longer fit for purpose. And this is not... under these new tech laws, what I've said is probably treasonous, right?
Yep.
But I'm not saying overthrow the government. I'm saying that we need overwhelming force we need the people on the ground to make their voices heard, that the system no longer serves us. Therefore, we need a new system. And I think the new system is what we said last week. I think and I'm going to use her language, Lena's language, because I was reluctant to use the term king, but it's just easier to say. It's time for Australia to get a noble king.
I just sent you through I'm trying to look for something as well. But I just sent you through a clip, and this is an example of sort of what we're talking about. There was another clip that happened during the week, and I can't find it. I should have grabbed it at the time. But, so, this is an example of exactly what Alex is talking about. The system itself is completely dysfunctional, because even the basics of... So we blame the politicians all the time. This is the sort of stuff that even the politicians are dealing with, because... It's like the Senator's role, for example, to be the House of Review. They are supposed to be the check and balance to make sure that things are functioning properly. And they can't even get the bureaucrats to give them the information that they need to do this check and balance system. And there was an example, we'll play this clip in a second, but there was an example that happened during the week where, I can't remember who started the questioning, but I know that David Pocock was involved in it. And they were questioning this, senior bureaucrat, and what he was saying was that some members of the bureaucracy would be asked by senior people to prepare reports for blah, and they would prepare the report, but then they were getting yellow sticky notes and literally writing on it what they really thought on the sticky note and attaching it to the front of the report. But the report was written in a way that would be politically correct, and that is in massive breach of the parliamentary laws around record keeping. They're literally sending...
Well, it's not, though. I think technically it's not. It is a workaround. This is what I'm saying. That's one of the holes in the bowl.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is that even those sticky notes should technically be recorded as per the laws. But they know that what they're saying is false, and what they really want to say is X. But because, where is the incentive? The incentive is, if I tell you the truth, I'm going to lose my job. Therefore, I put the sticky note on top of the completely politically correct report that I've wasted taxpayer money to prepare in the first place.
I can give you an extreme example. It's not an Australian example, it's an American one. But you've heard the term back channels, right? You've got to have back channels.
Yeah.
And... this amazing guy, Harold Malgrim, he died, but he was basically the advisor for some of the most powerful people, the powerful American presidents ever.
Yep.
He was the back channel guy. So every piece of correspondence from American presidents or American politicians is recorded and is accessible by the public.
Yeah.
Okay? Except Hillary Clinton's personal emails.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay? Now...
because she was doing official business on a private email server.
Yeah.
Which is illegal.
But I think we all agree that everyone has their own back channels. And there was a moment where it could be argued that war with Russia would have kicked off if it weren't for this Harold Malgrim, who was told by the president at the time, can't remember who was the president at the time, to go and talk to them essentially on the side, off the record.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's another example where we need to remember, say, when you're trying to lay out an organization, if you're trying to have a meeting, you're trying to get something done at work, what's the objective? Everyone needs to agree on what the objective is.
Yep.
Okay? And then once you've agreed on what the objective is, now you navigate a path to it. What we've done, why democracy is falling apart, is because we are so obsessed with accountability that we no longer care what the objective is. It's all about me.
Yeah.
It's all about how do I obfuscate this so I can get what I want?
It's short-term political thinking, which is all centered around getting votes to be voted back in to keep your own political career going, rather than what is the correct way to govern a country.
But then even for the people that aren't, or who don't think they're playing that game, unfortunately they're stuck in it.
Yeah.
That example of like, that's the housing department. The housing department shouldn't exist. We don't need governments to supply housing.
No.
If you just had the government stay out of the way, there would be the exact right amount of houses
Yep.
at the right price.
Yep.
Right? But governments have inserted themselves into the system, completely broken it, and now, at a greater expense to us, they're trying to fix what is broken by breaking it even more.
That's right, yeah. Prescribing more
not,
of the same thing that ruined it in the first place.
Yeah, because it's in their best interest.
Yeah.
And another example of broken democracy, you can't vote out these bureaucracies.
That's right.
Name a government department that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
They all exist, and they all exist in perpetuity.
That's right.
Okay? Imagine a gravy train, right? And then you can just add as many carriages. Carriage for your mate here, carriage for your mate there, carriage, and just know that those things are going to be funded by the taxpayer forever. You do it too.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's why it's not good enough. It's just not good enough to try and put a new guy at the top of the colander.
No, play that clip, because this will illustrate exactly what you're talking about. If you play that clip I just sent you. So again, this is Senate estimates. They are speaking to the committee essentially who is taking care of the net zero transition.
What question you're asking over
You've got to go
what
right back to the
timeframe?
start.
Well, if the goal is net zero by 2050, how much do we need to invest to get to net zero?
So I'm not sure exactly what question you're asking over what timeframe.
Well, if the goal is net zero by 2050, so that's the timeframe.
That's right. And between now and then, there's a lot of private investment that will take place.
I'm only asking, didn't you just do a modelling exercise?
Yeah, we did. So
how much? What's the figure?
So I'm not sure whether we have a figure of the total amount of investment, but it's also, I'm not quite sure how meaningful the question is. Some of this investment is government, some of this investment will be private sector. In fact, the vast majority of it will be in the private sector.
I'm asking for both, because presumably the modelling exercise looked at the whole economy. So how much capital investment is required to get to net zero by 2050?
Dr. Heath, do we have a figure on that?
So it depends exactly how you're asking the question. So the modelling exercise, as we discussed at the last estimates, was designed to understand the path to net zero. The baseline of what would happen if we didn't have the target is not something that was part of the exercise.
So you can't tell me, despite all the modelling that was done and the spruiking the government's done of it, you can't tell me how much money Australia has to spend to get to net zero by 2050.
So that is exactly what we're talking about. And this is the thing. Like I said, we blame the politicians all the time. That's what the politicians are up against, because you've got this deep state bureaucratic blob that is incentivized to deliberately mislead Parliament, because that's what their jobs rely on.
Can I give you what so in the Alex von Cannell view of this new world, this is what this looks like. I don't like this department, it's gone. Bye.
Afuera.
Yeah, afuera. Gone.
Yeah.
Bye. No more. Done. Or, hey, we are going to do net zero. We're going to allow $2 trillion to get there by 2050. If you can't do it by 2050, it's done.
Yep.
Done. Move on. Next. What's the next thing? This is... And what we just showed there happens at every level, at every aspect, every interaction within government. Why are we paying for this?
Can I also make the point too? We know someone who is a somewhat of an insider and gets a back-end view of a lot of these things, and she has seen in real time when there's a Senate estimates hearing coming up, these back-end bureaucrats are spending weeks to prepare for the questions they know they're going to be asked, but not to answer the questions deliberately of how they are going to get around having to give honest answers to these questions. And I mean, like I said before, the Senate's supposed to be the House of Review. Do you know how many times the Senate has done like what they call an order for the production of documents, an OPD? So they order these bureaucrats to produce these documents, or they order the government to produce these documents. And then they just ignore the order. And then they're like, we'll take that on notice. So again, kick the can down the road. Oh, we'll take it on notice and we'll get back to you. And then they just never get back to them. And then
have you noticed that they fire the people or move the people that they then get asked? So new people come in and they say, hey, right. And like, I don't know anything before I got here, so I'm here now.
Yep, that's right. So like,
look, move into another department, you still get your.
Yep. Also, that report that you're after, you look, I'll take that on notice and we'll get back to you. And then they don't.
And just so you know, these department heads, these people they're talking to, they get paid more than the politicians.
Yeah, they're on $1 million a year. There's 30 bureaucrats, senior bureaucrats in Australia that get paid more than $1 million a year. And for what? What are we paying them for? To obfuscate and slow down the... No wonder why there's no productivity in this country. We literally can't get the most basic shit done. Can I also make the point too, and this is going to be a little bit controversial, I feel like this has gotten 1 million times worse since we allowed women to do these jobs.
I would love to disagree with you. It's not just women. Have you noticed the types of women?
It's very feminized men too, yeah. But it's also those are the men who are willing to play within these systems. Because here's the problem.
Not a lot of married women are in this. They're all miss this, miss that.
Here's the problem that I see, and ladies, I apologise if you get offended by this, but I'm old enough now, I've been around for long enough to have seen a clear trend, and I don't think this is something that is particularly controversial to say, even though it will come across that way. In the last 20 to 30 years, we have had a massive trend away from trad wives and towards corporate boss ladies. Which is fine, except all of us have inbuilt tendencies to do certain things. Male, female. Sorry, I've got someone at the door. We'll pause and I'll come back. And we're back. Obviously, you've got to get interrupted when you're about to say controversial things on this show. That's just how we roll.
Was it the Jews at the door?
No, they don't mind if you criticise women. They're all good at that. They got no dramas. So here's the thing, and again, this is going to sound bad, but it's not meant to be bad. There are certain inbuilt tendencies in men and women, and obviously this is a generalization. This is not the norm of absolutely everyone, but in speaking in general terms. So me as a man, I have an inbuilt thing in my DNA to be a protector. I've always had it. It didn't just occur just because I had kids. I had this even from an early age. So that would manifest itself in the way of defending friends, with playing sports. I was a bit of the enforcer, so if someone from the other team was trying to pick on or start fights with other members of my team, it would be me getting in the way and protecting this member of my team because they're part of my squad, and that was my role that I was playing. I've just got that protectorate gene inside me, and I think it perfectly, it makes me a perfect fit for parenthood because my natural inclination is towards protecting my children, right? It's literally one of the most biological, successful things that have happened for human beings, because otherwise, if we weren't willing to protect our kids, there'd be none of us. We would have died out a long time ago. Now, women have the same thing, but it's in a maternal sense. So, women, I've got, shout out to mums. The strongest people in the world are mums. They are the strongest people in the world, and I will not hear anything different about it. I've seen what mums put themselves through, especially in the early days of having children, when they're up against everything, right? My wife, she had to have an emergency C-section the first time, so after having an absolutely horrendous childbirth experience, then she had to have major surgery at 1 a.m. in the morning, and they're like, oh yeah, I know we just cut open your stomach and ripped a baby out of you. Congratulations, you better start breastfeeding now. So just pass the kid over, and you've got to start looking after that infant immediately. And then obviously it takes recovery time for all...
I had a day off. After I got sunburned.
Yeah, exactly, right? So then you've got all that recovery time, but the time that, as a mum, you have to recover, you're literally looking after every single whim that this infant has. You're looking after it. And then add on when then they don't sleep, and we've spoken about on the show many times about how there's all that research that shows when the baby cries, there's a thing that ticks off in the mum's brain where she will wake up immediately to attend to that child. Whatever that child needs, she's there to attend to that child. Whereas men, we don't hear it. Everyone whinges about how the dad sleeps through the crying baby all the time. We do sleep through it. We don't hear it. It doesn't tee off the same sensors in our brains. But if there's rustling leaves outside the house, we wake up immediately because that's that protector gene that kicks in. There's a threat there. Bang! I'm awake and I'm ready to handle whatever this threat is. But in the last 30 years, when we've shifted away from celebrating women for what they do for us as mothers and wives and taking care of children and all of those things, we've sort of made that a little bit not taboo, but we don't elevate it in the same way that we used to. And instead we've told women, you don't need to be a mum to have a fulfilling life. You can go and be a corporate boss lady, and you can have a fulfilling career, and you can make your own money, and you can have your own freedoms, and those things sound great as well. But here's the problem. Number one, we've spoken about a million times how the birth rate is declining, right? And how we are not at a birth rate which is even at replacement levels anymore. And every single Western capitalist economy is built on infinite growth over time. So if you have a declining birth rate, that means you have to bring in bodies from overseas. That's why we've got all the immigration coming at the moment. It's because we're not replacing our own population. And that's for various reasons. But the thing that I see manifesting all throughout the world is a generation of women who came through under that second wave feminism, don't need a man. It wasn't about equality anymore. It was about go and get yours, be a corporate boss lady, make all the money. And they've done that very successfully. To their credit, killing it. If you look at the statistics out of the US, it's 70% of people who are graduating tertiary education are women. Men are completely falling out of...
They out-earn them.
Yep, they out-earn them.
Suicide rate's lower.
More single women in America own houses than single men do. It's completely turned on its head. But the problem is that basic maternal instinct is still there for a lot of these women who get into these high-level, high-powered positions. And now, instead of taking that maternal instinct and using it to nurture their own children, they're applying it to their workplaces and to the societies around them. And that is a massive problem.
I actually see there's another thing that I think is even more of an issue, which is, and you can go and test this, especially go test this at Christmas lunch, okay?
Yeah.
Men can test ideas with each other and disagree and be stoked after that they got to have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And be happy, handshake, and you could be on the complete opposite ends of a spectrum, but you can discuss the ideas and test them and question and push and
argue.
And argue, yep. And then once the argument's over, you can go have a beer.
Yep.
Women don't do that.
No.
And this only happened to me 2 weekends ago. Politics came up. I was out at coffees, a couple of guys, a couple of girls. And I made mention that I'd voted for Pauline Hanson for the last 10 years. Instant scathing. She's a racist. She's this. And I just came back with one question. What makes her racist?
Yeah.
No answer. No logical... Now, this person in the past, to her credit, I've had something... She's made a comment before, and I've asked her to back it up. And she's literally said to me, I've got no idea, it's just how I feel.
Right.
Guys, generally, can separate the feeling from the logic.
Yep.
So guys will often say something crazy and then try to rationalize the crazy thought. So they're almost putting themselves in the shoes of the person, someone thinking crazy.
Yep.
To try and understand it.
Yep.
Right? Whereas women find it very hard to shake the feeling, that initial emotion that they got from whatever started the thing. They find it very hard to distance themselves from that. So their tactic then becomes, how do I defend this feeling that I have right now? Because that's more real to me.
Yeah, so this is something that I think we spoke about on the show a few weeks ago. I was watching this clip from this lady who's a psychologist, and she was talking about this book called Warriors versus Warriors. And,
cool.
And it talks about how our ways of communicating, like male ways of communicating and female ways of communicating, evolved in very, very different circumstances back from the caveman days. So back in the old tribe days, men would often be out together, just among men, doing high-risk, high-reward activities like hunting. So the way that men evolved to communicate with each other is very direct, because how you care about how you feel about what I say to you right now pales in comparison to the fact that I'm saying, there's a fucking bear over there, move, get out of the way, otherwise you will die, right? Very direct, we can be very forceful, but also it's that sort of streamlined thought process of just get the information out that's required and then move on to the next thing that's important, because we're doing a high risk, high reward activity. So that's the warrior side. We're either going off to war or we're going off to hunt. Women, on the other hand, evolved a way of communicating based around being back at the village, the tribe, which is all about social cohesion. Because you've got to think, it's not high risk, high reward stuff. They're not going to war. They're not going to die.
The risk is being ostracized from the group.
Exactly. Because if you're not together, like let's say that you've had children, for example, if you become ostracized from the group, and we always talk about now how in modern life we don't have that village anymore. You know, there's a lot of tribes and stuff in Africa or wherever where things are actually a lot easier for mothers, because like when you have a newborn and you're exhausted, well, guess what? One of the other mums might actually take that newborn to give you a rest and breastfeed them for you and all of those things. Like we say it takes a village to raise a child, and we don't have that anymore. But a female way of communicating was literally evolved around social cohesiveness and not becoming ostracized, because that was the biggest danger to you as a woman. So this has happened over thousands of years, which is why men can be far more direct with each other, but then move on, because we still have that idea of like the honourable opponent, right?
Can I give you the most extreme example of that?
Sure.
Have you heard about the Christmas truce of World War One?
Yeah. This is a great story.
So, 1914, Christmas Eve 1914, the British and the German troops were doing trench warfare, basically two front lines, German line here, British line here, shooting each other.
Yeah.
All day, every day, for when did the Great War start? 1911. For years, literally just shooting each other for years. 1914, Christmas Eve, they basically threw messages to each other saying, "Let's call a truce for Christmas." And it took great courage of the people to try and line this up, because as soon as you stick your head out, you get shot.
Yep.
But they threw each other like snacks.
Yeah. And
they actually had a game of soccer.
Yeah.
Right? And then as soon as it was over, horn flies off, they all run back into their foxholes and start shooting each other again.
Yep. And
so that's like, being able to differentiate between the task and like the emotions behind, the feelings behind it. It's like you can't get more different than that.
Yeah, and again, like we're not saying that you are wrong. We're saying that we are different. Different skill sets and ways of thinking tend to function better in certain areas. And like, so when I made that comment about how all of this stuff's gotten so much worse since women have gotten themselves into these positions, what do you think wokeism was? Wokeism was all about a feminization of the world, where we look at every single issue through the lens of who is the oppressor and who is the oppressed, and regardless of intent or actions, we decide who are the infants that we need to take care of, and who are the dangers, who the powerful people, they're always the one who is the danger. And we're seeing this manifesting everywhere, especially in the West at the moment, because we have gotten so far away from the traditional way of doing things in the West, where this is manifesting everywhere. I mean, the UK...
And not being rude, we build everything. Like, the men build everything.
Yeah, but even put that stuff aside. I'll give you the perfect example. There was a story out of the UK of there was an immigrant, and this is a few years old, so I'm not trying to inflame immigrant tensions or anything like that. But there was an immigrant that was driving dangerously and caused a car accident that killed a man's daughter, his 13-year-old daughter. And the immigrant was driving dangerously, I believe they were under the influence, and was unlicensed, and killed the man's daughter. And when the immigrant was being sentenced, the girl's father was sitting obviously in the courtroom to see what the sentencing was. And they sentenced this immigrant to 120 hours of community service. Yeah. The father, who was obviously horrified, did the wrong thing, literally got up, picked up a chair in the courtroom and threw it at the judge. The father got 140 hours of community service.
Yeah. So logic would dictate... So when you stack up the logical argument, which is what men tend to live in the logical world, killing someone is more damaging, more harmful than throwing a chair at someone.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so therefore, using logic, the weight of punishment should be much higher for someone that kills someone.
Correct.
Because we argue that killing is like the worst thing that you can do.
Yep.
To throwing a chair at someone should be weighted lower.
Yes.
So because of what Jason's correctly bringing up, there's this feeling of I need to protect the downtrodden.
Yeah.
Therefore, and it's something that Jason brings up a whole bunch of times, which is an inconsistency in the laws, which fragments an entire society.
Yeah.
We cannot function when we don't know what's right and what's wrong, and this is coming from up top. These are decisions that have been made by people in power that are sowing unrest. So I hate it when I hear politicians in particular say, we need to do this for our cultural, what do they say? Cohesion.
Yeah.
You guys are breaking the cohesion. You guys are doing it, you're antagonizing it on purpose, and you know you're doing it because everyone knows consistency, the ethos of the law is every man, woman, and child is treated fairly under the same rules.
That's right. And then the issue is, like you said, it creates division. It creates racism. Because obviously, because of this misplaced maternal instinct, if you bring an immigrant into the country, obviously they're new to the country, they didn't grow up here, they don't know our local customs, they don't know how Western society typically operates. So if you had a misplaced maternal instinct, you could easily write off a bunch of antisocial behaviours by saying, well, they don't understand the way that we do things over here. It's not their fault that they broke this law, or that they raped this person, or that they did this thing, because they weren't privileged enough to grow up in a safe Western country. They don't have the understanding. It's their culture. And that's what we're seeing all the time. And it's even things like... there was a story in the news recently about how Muslim men with multiple wives in Australia, which is illegal, by the way, polygamy is illegal in Australia, say about it whatever you like, but the current law states polygamy is illegal, they are having multiple wives claiming benefits from Centrelink for children or parenting payments and those sorts of things for literally the same kids. But because of the fear of being labelled a bigot to investigate these things, they just get away with it.
Remember, let's go back to 2019, 2020. Donald Trump's still in power. Mm-hmm. What does he call the coronavirus?
The China virus.
The China virus.
Yeah.
And what is he absolutely he's pulled over the coals for being racist.
Yeah.
What do we call every other disease prior to that?
Usually by wherever it comes from, like the Spanish flu.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is the... Yeah, I think it's very... But again, all this can be fixed with a new king. That's why I didn't say a new age of queens.
Yeah, but again, like, I think that all of this misplaced maternal instinct is going to accelerate us towards that next step, whatever that was called, after democracy, where it becomes mob rule. Because you're literally seeing, so like the communications minister, Annika Wells, she was in the news all week as well, talking about the social media bans and literally putting the onus back onto the platform, saying that it's on the platforms for them to comply with these things. And the reality is, like Alex said, we are literally taking the most powerful information tool in history, and we are restricting ourselves from it and our children from it, so our children are going to be dumber. We've removed parental rights in this country because as a parent, it's up to me whether or not my kids watch YouTube. It's not up to the government.
I just had to, just on that, I had to set up, so I bought a new Google Home, and Google TV, and I was setting it up. You have, it's already got inbuilt kids restricted.
Yeah.
That system has existed for ages.
Correct.
We don't need this shit.
No, but again, this to me is... Because I don't think it's all conspiracy, right? Like after COVID, the easiest thing...
I think it is.
I think part of it is, but I think, to be honest, I think the conspiracy element comes from the men who are running shit at the top, who are tricking these women with this misplaced maternal instinct to do these things, right? They are the spokespeople for bad policy, because you can put a woman up in front of a crowd and go and get her to say, won't someone think of the children? And most women go,
you can't deny it. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You can't deny it. You can't deny
it. And in a democracy, all you need is 50% plus one vote and you win. So when women are 50% of the population, they are naturally going to... I mean, ask a woman.
Except Pauline Hanson. They won't vote for her.
Except Pauline Hanson, because her reputation is so toxic. But... just ask a woman. If you had us standing up in front of you telling you one thing, and a well-dressed woman in a corporate business lady outfit saying the exact opposite of what we're saying, but she's saying, you got to do this for the children, who are they more inclined to believe? Yeah. They're always going to believe her.
Also, the other thing too is and I've said this to people in the past, women tend not to be willing to do the hard thing if it's right.
Mm-hmm.
They'd rather do the thing that feels good.
Yeah, and like, to give an example from my personal life as well, and this is not a dig at all, but I've seen these tendencies in my wife since we had kids, which surprised me. Because my wife, very rational person, has been a teacher for a long time. I've seen the way she treats students. She's very level, very fair. One of the most rational women I've ever met, hence marrying her in the first place. And then I've seen her do some of the most irrational shit with the boys, and like get away with stuff that I never would have expected to see her let them get away with. And I just go, oh, well, there's that maternal instinct. That, like, they are the most precious things that she has ever had in her life. Her instinct is to protect them at all costs, regardless of whether or not it's the right thing to do. And so this is something that Jordan Peterson talks about a lot. And I listened to a lot of his early parenting lectures when Nate was just born. And he says that this is one of the things that makes it so necessary to have a man and a woman in the household. Because in the beginning, the woman's maternal instinct is, anytime the infant cries, you must immediately attend to the child. That is their instinct. The problem is, children are very, very clever. And it doesn't take them long to learn, if I cry, I get what I want. And it is the man's job to realise when the child's between 9 months to a year and a half, it's the man's job to say, hey, that cry's bullshit. You don't need to baby them right now. They're manipulating you because you've taught them that. You've taught them if they cry, you attend to their needs. And the problem is, that's what society has turned into. The people who cry the most get given the most.
You've just reminded me of something. Okay, so this is going to transition us into something else. But
Oh, we're transitioning.
what you mentioned about child crying, I had this thought during the week, and I haven't thought it out yet, so we'll do it live on the show. I think, so you said something, children can manipulate their parents.
Yep.
It's pretty known, right?
Mhm.
That kids, do this, get this in response.
Yep.
Okay, is this a response that I want? All right. So test it. If I do it again, do I get the same thing? Do I get the same reward for this action?
It's Pavlov's dog.
So I think that is the best example of why socialism doesn't work.
Yeah, agreed.
Because at our absolute core, a newborn fresh baby is not is the purest form of humanity, right? Untethered by ideology.
Yep.
Purely motivated on survival,
Mm-hmm.
and they use manipulation to get what they want when they want it.
Yep.
And we know that when you keep giving them what they want, the outcome is bad.
Yes.
And that's what socialism is.
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything. I want it to be done for me. The idea that everyone's going to share the load is ridiculous.
Yeah, because it just doesn't happen.
It's unnatural. And because it's unnatural, that's why anyone that's tried to do it has had to enforce it with violence.
Yeah, exactly. And again, like, that's where we are moving towards. All of these little petty tyrannies that we talk about all the time, it's all just moving us towards more and more authoritarianism. And this is the thing that, again, people don't understand, I think, about the difference between conservative politics and liberal progressive politics. Everyone thinks that the lefties, the liberal progressives, are the nice people. They are not. Because the only way you can enforce their policies is through blatant authoritarianism. Like,
because it's unnatural. Because
it's unnatural.
I had someone say to me the other day, any policy that has to be enforced is unsustainable.
Yeah.
And I felt that way, but I never articulated like that. I literally was only told this like 3 weeks ago. And it makes so much sense. If you have to say, if you do this, then this is going to happen, and you have to keep doing it over and over and over again, you have to keep trying and trying and trying and trying, there's a reason why you're getting that pushback.
Yeah.
Because there is a natural way that humans are supposed to do things. And it's funny too, because whenever I bring up these ideas of libertarianism, everyone automatically assumes that society is going to fall apart. And whereas I'm kind of saying, like, so you're saying that people are idiots.
Yeah.
I'm saying people are really, really smart, but like we said at the very opening of the show, it's the guardrails. If we're starting to lean on these guardrails, you're going to start mentally preparing yourself for a society fall apart.
Yep.
But shortly after that, once we've regained our freedom and starting to actually have to engage our brains into thinking about what's best for ourselves and our fellow man, you're going to have great outcomes. Yeah. Everyone knows how to do it once they've thought about it. At the moment, they just don't have to think about it because they're being told not to think about it. Don't think about this. We're about to be told, don't look on the internet. That's right. What we're about to get told.
Which it's not even about to. We got told that during COVID. We were already preconditioned to not going on the internet during COVID. But even, like, break it down, right? Again, I always go back to the caveman days and the old school, because that's where we evolved from. This society we live in is very artificial and very new. And it will take generations before what we're doing right now becomes somewhat normalized through our DNA. But so much of it goes back to, like, the caveman days, because at the end of the day, the only people that were able to pass on their DNA were the survivors. The people who survived and the people who thrived were the ones who passed their DNA on. If you didn't, you died off, right? Mm. So compare our society now to society back in the caveman days. Imagine this scenario. You live in a village. Your village is reliant upon strong men to protect you and to go out and hunt big game animals to feed the village. And you've got one particular guy who's just the alpha, right? He's the best hunter. Every single time he goes out hunting, he's hugely successful. He'll kill an animal. He'll carry it home himself. Like maybe the women might butcher it and all that sort of thing and cook it and do all that sort of stuff. And when it comes time for the village to get together at night time and all eat together, Daddy gets the big piece of chicken, right? Not one member of that village hated that guy because he provided the most.
Yep.
Fast forward to today. Who does society hate? The billionaires. The people who provide the most for our society has now become conditioned to hating. And the reason why our society has become conditioned to hating those guys is because of the guardrails. Because the guardrails that were put in place to protect us and keep us safe have made us lose sight of the fact that the only reason why we have anything in society is because of the small percentage of people who are the doers, who are the creators, who are the providers, who go out and generate so much more wealth and prosperity for the village. It's the only reason why we got the things that we have.
I think I mentioned it 3 weeks ago, podcasts ago, that the 8 out of the 10 under 30 rich list all did startups that are illegal.
Right.
So that's the guardrails are literally holding everyone in.
Yeah. You
stay in your box, stay poor, right? And then the renegades who are like, no, fuck that. Like, I'm not, like, it's, the things that they're doing were morally right.
Yeah.
They just happen to be bureaucratically wrong.
And it's getting worse because then when the wheels start falling off, to keep the people happy, because normally it's bread and circuses, right? As long as people are well fed and have entertainment, they don't riot. But we're getting farther past that bread and circuses because now people can't afford to feed themselves. Now people can't afford entertainment. They're not distracted anymore. A lot of people have empty bellies now. A lot of people are starting to get angry. So what is the system doing? It's moving to protect itself. It is becoming far more authoritarian. Look at what has happened in the UK. There was a girl who, I don't remember the specifics of the story, so you can look it up if you want, but there was a lady who was assaulted by her ex-partner.
Oh, I love Tucker Carlson. Dude, what a dub, dude. What a win. What a great clip to be able to put out there.
Exactly. So this woman was assaulted by her ex-partner. In a private text message exchange with a friend, she called her ex-partner a faggot. She was put in prison for using a digital carriage service to participate in hate speech. She got more time in jail than the ex-partner did who physically assaulted her. That's where we're at.
To Piers Morgan credit, so for people that don't know, that story Tucker Carlson brought up in a debate with Piers Morgan.
Yeah.
Piers Morgan, to his credit, said, I don't know about that. If that's real, that's crazy. He went back and investigated, then got her on his show to go through it and was like, oh my God, this is wild. And look, that's that male thing, right?
Yeah.
They were debating each other, screaming at each other. Tucker was basically trying to get
Piers to say faggot.
Piers to say faggot so that he'd get arrested. But then Piers goes, well, no, that sounds wrong. Let me have a look at it. Oh, it's right, actually. And, sorry, he was right. I was wrong. And I was so wrong that I'm now going to make it right by getting her on the show to tell her story.
Yeah.
That's that productive nature that men tend to have.
And Piers sorry, you go ahead.
If you watch a lot of I get a lot of is it Emily Saves America?
Yep.
She's a big sort of right wing pundit, but all her content that gets pushed to me is just her ragging on another person. Right. It's just shit canning someone else.
It's not building or creating anything. It's just tearing stuff down.
Yeah, like let's talk the ideas.
It's reputation,
right? I think
destruction.
There was a study that they did where men. What was it? It was something like men could differ on a political spectrum, but still vote for a different party if it. Like there were less. They were happy to change.
Is this the one on relationships? The one where men were willing to be in relationships with women who had differing political beliefs, but women were not.
I've seen that one. Yeah. That's pretty standard. That's why I've been wearing my Make America Great Again hat around, obviously because I'm very sunburned. So I've been walking. Dude, the amount of compliments I get from guys. I was at the coffee shop yesterday, and this guy I've never met before, he leans over and goes, "Mate, I love that." Right? And I get that all the time.
Yep.
But twice I've had girls cross the road as I'm walking up the street, right? So it's this weird signal, right?
Well, that would be a weird signal, because they're like, why is that Middle Eastern man wearing a MAGA hat?
Yeah. But, no, there was another study that talked about, essentially guys aren't, if the policies don't suit them, they can be party agnostic.
Yeah.
Like they're more than happy to vote for someone else. They're not like totally tribal.
Yeah.
Because, and I think it's that rationality versus the emotive side that's different. Whereas like I haven't successfully been able to convert any of the females in my life to vote for Pauline Hanson.
I've gotten a few over.
Well, you're doing better than me, but and it's purely because it's same as the Trump thing. We've spoken about the Trump thing all the time. The grab by the pussy thing is the worst thing. Like, women will never ever like Trump because of grab by the pussy.
Yep.
Yet a guy could go talking locker room talk 30 years ago about grabbing on the pussy, stopping world wars.
But even okay, put the world wars thing aside. Trump has done more to protect women's rights in this administration than Biden did. Biden eroded women's rights. All of the gender-neutral bathroom stuff happened downstream from the Biden administration. Like, they had multiple trans people in the administration to make them public-facing. They pushed all of that stuff out into the...
Who was the health minister?
Yeah, Admiral Rachel Levine, the brave and powerful woman.
My lefty nurse friend has been constantly ragging about RFK Jr. and his brain worm. And they're like, "Hey, do you know who the Biden one was?" And she goes, "No, I don't." And then I showed her. She's like,
this trans dude. But this is the thing, right? So, like, I was talking to a friend of mine about this the other day. Shout out to them. They listened to the show. And they were talking about how, like, they're massively against the trans agenda because they see it through their professional life. And their partner was, like, basically doing the whole, sort of like what I copped a lot during COVID. Why do you care so much? Why do you care so much? It doesn't really bother you. Why do you care so much? But then went out to an event on the weekend and had to go to the bathroom, and there was a male toilet and an everyone toilet, and had to walk past 3 bearded dudes in the everyone toilet just to go to the bathroom. And it's like, as a woman, she shouldn't have to do that at all. We're supposed to protect women, but now, because of misplaced maternal instinct, where we've decided that trans people are the infants of the world and the rest of the world has to change what they're doing to protect these infants, now we have allowed people who want to pose in infant face access to women's safe spaces. And again, you're right, women hate Trump because they're grabbed by the pussy, but Trump has almost single-handedly destroyed the trans narrative in the West.
Did we show the moment when Mamdani went to meet Trump?
I don't think we showed it. Oh, we might have, actually, yeah.
And they said, one of the reporters goes, Mamdani, you've called Trump a fascist on numerous occasions. Like, do you want to call it now? And then he was going to answer, and then Trump just, like, sweetly goes over and, mate, just do it. Like,
yeah, just say it. It's easier. It's easier if you don't have to explain it. Like,
and like it was such a funny moment. Like, it's like, let's cut through the chaff. Like, we don't need this shit. Let's just get on with the, And he tried to build common ground. He was like, I want New York to be good. We'll do whatever it is. Like, he was navigating through the vibe, through the petty shit. Like, let's get to the core issue. Now, I will say he's also a guy that when people say, oh, you have to pander to him, he is that for sure. Like, I will say that everyone's criticizing him for the tariffs, and yet everyone had to go and essentially kiss the ring to negotiate a deal. So even if the tariffs don't happen, but I do believe they've raised $400 billion more revenue, that even the Fed has said it was a good move.
Yep.
even if the tariffs don't stick, he got to sit down with every world leader and negotiate new deals, which is what every good business person would have done.
And that's the thing. It wasn't all just about tax revenue. It was about using it as a bargaining chip. He literally created a bargaining tool overnight. And, like, you know, the whole... when India and Pakistan were about to tee off against each other, he literally said, you guys cut it out or I'll tariff you. And they stopped. But on the Mamdani thing, because the Mamdani thing has an interesting parallel to this misplaced maternal instinct thing that will be very interesting to watch. So he comes into office as the mayor of New York in January, so in a month. And his entire senior, transition team are all women.
Yeah.
So this is what I was saying before about how I think that there's a lot of men pulling strings at the top, manipulating women underneath them through that misplaced maternal instinct to do certain things because they are better salespeople to the masses than men are. And we saw this in the car game. Anyone who's bought a new car knows you'll go into a car dealership. More often than not, when you're talking about the car, it'll be a male salesperson. And that male salesperson will spend 2 hours with you on the day, and then he'll follow you up over the phone, and you'll be talking to him for weeks. And when you finally made the decision that that's the car that you want to buy, if you trust that man, and ladies, more often than not, you don't care about the car, you care about how you felt when you were in the car or around the car, because that's what really mattered to you, you'll buy the car from that man. And then the next thing you do after signing up on the car is they wheel you over to talk about aftermarket products, window tinting, paint protections, etc., etc., etc. 95 times out of 100, the person who sells that stuff in a dealership is a woman.
Yeah.
And the reason being is that while that salesperson has had hours, if not days, if not weeks, to build rapport with you, build trust, etc., before he'll actually earn your business, we all know in sales that a woman is a far less threatening person to put in front of you for a high-stakes situation, like buying these aftermarket products is. It is built into the sales system. We know it. And that is what Mamdani, I believe, is going to use to sell a lot of his policy. And look at what Albo's doing. The majority of our shitty government policies are being spoken about by women. Annika Wells, the communications minister. Julie Inman Grant, the e-safety commissioner. Like, we're wheeling these women out to roll out these extremely unpopular policies, but just having a woman up the front saying, won't somebody think of the children, is getting way more support than what these would do if you put a Tony Burke up in front and said, this is why we're doing these things.
I thought you were going to raise this, but you haven't, so I will. We've also seen women weaponized in the corporate world.
Yep.
So man goes and grabs a woman, puts her in a elevated position, which everyone loves. I think it's so progressive.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason why they do it is because they have power over them.
Yeah.
So they are far more compliant because they're not willing to have the more robust conversations. They're not going to push back.
Yep.
So a leader gets anything they want because they're not going to talk back.
Yeah.
And I think that's been... And obviously there's a concept of the glass... We've all heard the glass ceiling, which is where people can't break through. And then now we're seeing the phenomenon in the last, say, 5 to 10 years of the glass waterfall,
yep,
which I think is happening in politics in Australia right now. What's the Liberal...
Well, Susan Ley from the Liberals.
Susan Ley.
Yep. Like, that party's falling apart.
She's been given a poison chalice.
Yep, absolutely.
There's no way she can succeed. There's no way anyone could succeed to fix that party now. It's fucked.
Yep.
That's why she got it.
Yep.
Right? So, you see it in the corporate world all the time.
And so, sorry, on the Libs, this is what the Libs are going to do. She is going to take the poison pill. She is going to be to blame for all of the failings of the Liberal Party. And then just before the next election, they'll wheel Andrew Hastie in, and they'll say, she was the reason why we were going bad, but now we've got Hastie in, and we'll go good again.
Yeah.
And that will basically, all the bad juju leaves with her, and then they get to start somewhat fresh.
I think we're good there.
Yeah, cool. Let's wrap it up. All right, guys. Thanks very much for joining us, and we'll see you all next week.
Don't forget, Christmas, bring up New Age of Kings.
Oh,
let's Melt democracy.
Another thing too that I want you guys to do on Christmas, if you can, and it might take a little bit of prep time, I want you to get some photo frames, and if you've got like family photos on your walls and stuff, particularly in your lounge room, like your dining room where you're going to be having Christmas dinner or Christmas lunch or whatever, can you put up some photos of Pauline Hanson on the wall? Just as a conversation starter, I think that would be a really, really good thing for you.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, thanks very much, guys. We'll see you next week.
See ya.